All right, guys. So I have a special guest coming on to the platform today. I'm extremely excited to be doing this. This is another mock interview for a data engineering position. This is kind of like a software engineering slash data engineering type of interview, but we're going to be using Python for this. I'm excited about it. I hope that it can provide value to anybody who's watching this video. And please go ahead and check out my guest on here and also the person who's going to be interviewing me, Rahmel Bailey. I appreciate it for coming on. So let's go ahead and get into the video. I appreciate you for doing this mock interview with me. And that's get into like a Python question. Are you familiar? Do you use Python with your
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I use Python sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Ramel. And also, I wanted to ask a little bit more about you too. About like, because I know you said that you work with Amazon, right?
Yeah. So I'm a software engineer at Amazon, specifically working on Prime Video. So I've been here for almost 2 years, and I've worked both back end and front end teams here at Prime Video. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, man. Let's get into it.
Okay. What I'm not sure if you have any like cloud code editor that's best, like if you use like Replit or anything like that.
They did give some recommendation. Let me go back to the
Let me
email.
just I'm gonna
Ask you when you did your interviews with Amazon for Prime Video, like how was that experience?
it was an interesting experience. I think the beginning was it started off with like a coding assessment, and I had already been like prepping for interviews for a while, so I was kind of like in interview mode and all of that, and I probably interviewed a lot of companies, um, failed some interviews, and then kind of like got better, you know what I mean? Got in a groove, got better at interviewing, and then when I finally, so I had the actual coding assessment, and then when I finally got to the interview, I came in actually like out of college, so the interview process was a little bit different. It was actually only like one interview, um, so it was a little bit different, and I had one interviewer, and they pretty much like asked me like two questions, and I guess I was able to solve them. I would say I had a very good interviewer in the sense of like I kind of connected with my interviewer. I'm not sure how. We just started having a conversation before we actually got into the coding, and I think that helped a lot. So yeah, when did the coding problem, solved them, and then I was asked like some fundamental data structure problems, and it went well.
Yes,
But
sir.
I don't think that interview process is like normal. I think it's yeah, I might have got a little lucky with that one.
Hey, that's a good thing, man. They liked you, They gave you opportunity. You got in there, and now look at you. Several years down the line, helping others. That's a good thing.
No, definitely, definitely. And then I mean, the thing about it is, like I said, like when it comes to the interview process, I think in general you just got to pay your dues. You got to pay your dues. You got to just interview at a lot of places. I think even if the interview was harder, I think I'd have been able to make it through. Um, but yeah, it's just okay. This is the question right here.
Okay.
So you still good with just going over sample problem, right? And then kind of
Yes.
okay, cool. All right. And the main thing today, right? I'm really just trying to. I don't really care like if we get the problem right or wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of want to like recreate actual experience and then like go over some of the things you can do to really stand out and really just convey your thinking to the interviewer and give yourself the best chance of making it to the next round. Or if this is the final round, I think you said it was the final round. So if this is the final round, getting that offer pretty much.
Right.
Here's the problem. Okay. So
Okay.
yes, welcome to the interview. Today, William, we're just assessing your coding knowledge. So let's start it off. So this problem we have is, I guess, imagine you are given an integer array of numbers and an integer k as an input value, both values as input values. We would want you to return the k most frequent elements within the array. And yeah, so let me explain that again. So pretty much we are giving you an array of numbers and we're giving you an integer k, and we essentially want you to return the k most frequent elements that are found in that array. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, here we have some examples below. Like in this array here, if k is 2, then we want to return the top two most frequently used arrays. I'm sorry, the most frequent numbers in the array, which is 2 and 3. And then below that, we have an array of sevens. We just want the one most frequent number, which would be 7 in this case.
Okay.
So yeah.
Can I ask? So with this, you are taking in a array or list. So you're taking in a list from a function, and then you're outputting. Are you outputting another list? You're outputting the list of the most frequent.
Yeah. We're outputting a list of the most frequent.
Okay, so I'm looking at example 1 here, and then it says for the input you have the nums 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and k is equal to 2.
Yeah.
So let me see. Given an integer array nums and an integer k, return the k most frequent. The test cases are generated. Let me see right quick. So you have. So k is that trying to say, okay, we're going to have 2 elements within the result list?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's why
Yep.
in the second example, you have 7, 7, but we only want k is equal to 1. So that means we only want a list with a length of 1.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. So then let me write out. Can I write out another example? Can I write on this?
Yeah.
And then say 3. If I wanted to do something like this with oh, that's interesting. So it actually does auto complete it for me. Okay, so if I have this for an example, can you see can you see me highlighting this?
Yeah, I can see.
Okay, so with that, if I wanted to say k is equal to 3, then it would do, or let's say like this is 4 or something like that. So and then let's add another 1. All right. So now I have 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, 4. But then I have k is equal to 3. So then it'll be 1, 2, 3, right? Because of the result list has to be equal to 3 characters.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it doesn't matter the order of when it goes in. It does?
For the sake of this question, I'll say yes.
Sounds like a stack could be used for this one then. I think that will be better because you can put it on the last in first out, so you can put more onto the stack as you go in. So let's say we go in, we say we're going to put the 1 on there, and then go to the next one in the list, put the next 1 on there, put the 2, 2, 3, 3, 3, and then 4. When 4 comes up, there's no more in the list. We're going to pop that off of the stack. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but how would you know what to pop off? It does make sense, but how would you know which element to pop off?
If we see another one within the stack, if we see another one within the list, so we'll have to go through, and if we have this element in index 0, which is 1, we go on to the next one. Okay, we have something new onto the stack, and then you go to the next one. This one is already existing within the stack, so okay, we keep it on the stack. Then because we want to make sure that we have k equals 3, right? So
Yeah.
we have at least one element that we know for certain is going to be in there. So then we go on to the next one. Okay, I see something new. So it's 2. We can put that on top of the stack. The next one is the same thing. And then we just continue on to where we get 3, something new. And now we got 3. And then we go to 4. Okay, this is something new. But so we already have our k equals to 3. But there's no other 4s within this list. We're not going to add it onto the stack. Does it make sense?
It makes some sense, but how do you know that? Okay.
Let me see if I can kind of
I think it makes sense.
illustrate
Oh,
it.
it makes. Okay.
Let me see how I can illustrate it. So, let me see. So we have 1 here, and then we have 2, and then we have 3. Maybe I should do it in the other way. So okay, so this is our stack right here, right? So we have 1, 2, and 3. 1 is at the bottom. We got 2 and we got 3. Okay, and then 3 is at the top. That's the most recent one that we've seen that's new. And then we come up to 4, right? So now we have this new one that came up. One has 2 references. 2 has 2 references. 3 has 3 references, but 4 only has 1. We are good here for 1. We're good here for 2. We're good here for 3. But when we get to 4, we only have 1 right here, 1 reference to it, and we only need 3 for the result list. So we'll
Yeah.
pop this off right there. So we'll
Yeah.
push. Does that make more sense to it?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Um,
I I guess I was just asking how would you track, like, let's say one, you had one of the number one, and then you had two of the number four. Like, how would you actually track the value? How would you track the quantity of each to know, like,
I,
oh, this one?
yeah, I would think I would need to have some sort of counter to track the reference of let's say whenever a new element comes up or a new number comes up. So and then also we need to make sure that the length is the same as k, right? So
Yeah.
we had to make sure so it can be no more than k. I mean, so no more than 3. Um, let's see. All right, so I'm trying to figure out how we're gonna do this. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a stack. What I would want to use more over a. Now this is one I'm just finding out more so about is a heap. It might be that might be a better data structure for it. Let's see. Um. All right, so let's do this. So I'm taking in. Can I start with? I'm taking in a num, or let's say the name of the list is called num. So I'm taking in a
Hmm.
num list. Okay, so this is the num list, and then it takes in integers.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the next thing I'm doing is I'm saying k is equal to an integer for
Yes.
length,
Yeah.
length of the list. Oh, that's cool. It highlights for me. All right, so num is the result list. Result list. Okay, and then what I want to result, and then let me see. Let me put this here, and then the result is what I want to return. The result list is what I want to return. Okay.
Correct.
All right. So this is all I'm looking for, and then what I can do is let me read through the question one more time. Okay.
No problem.
Given an integer array, nums and an integer k, return the k most frequent elements within the array. So I know that I want k to equal the length of this result list. Okay. The test cases are generated here, and generated such that the answer is always unique. See, that's what I'm saying. So a stack probably wouldn't be best. I think like a heap would probably be a better data structure for that, and we can still iterate based off of it. Well, you can still iterate over a heap in a similar way. You may return the output in any order. Okay, and this one says in any order. Okay, so it doesn't matter what order it's in. Okay,
Well, I was saying for the sake of the problem, we'll do it. We can do it in
in the same order.
yeah. But I mean, if you want to do it in any order, it is what it is. You can do it in any order
Let's see. Okay.
if you prefer.
All right. I think. Let me make sure. I know for certain I want to be able to use like that push pop method. I know that if I can iterate over this list, I would just need to do it. Um, let's see. And also, what if it's an empty list as well? They say if the list is empty, we just return an empty list, right?
If the list is empty, Yeah, I guess if the list is empty, you could turn it empty list. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I think I think I can go ahead and get started coding. I think I have everything that I would need to go ahead and get started. I know I'm gonna have to iterate over this. I'm gonna go for a for loop. I know I want to use a heap. I know that I had to keep track of the count for k for the list at the return list. So I think we can and then by default we can just return the list whatever we have.
So in this case, what are you using the heap for?
For the push pop, well, you can push and pop off of a heap. You can I think it has something to do with the time and space complexity. Just based off of doing some tutorials on it. I remember they were saying that that's what you want to go for if you want better a better space complexity because it's like O of n, and then for it's kind of slow for the time complexity though. I think it's a n log n, but this is just like a brute force method. I think. Is that okay?
But the heap. So I'm just trying to understand. So the reason you're using the heap is because you want to sort it in order.
I guess it doesn't matter then because it can be in any order.
Yeah. I mean, so generally, like when we use heaps, like we usually have a min heap or a max heap,
Mm.
and generally the reason is because we want to like remove either it's sorted based on like the highest value or like the lowest value, and
Mm.
then we will like remove the greatest or lowest value. Whichever
Well,
one it
that's
is, you generally remove that from the top.
okay. Then that would be better for if you use a because we want to we want to get rid of the one that has the least references, right? So if we have four, we want to get rid of that one, just like how you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this case, the heap is are you wait, so you're saying in the heap you're gonna put the what numbers are gonna go in the heap?
Oh, I was saying so for example three, right? We have in our nums list. So in our nums list, we have these numbers here, these integers, and then I have four at the end with only one reference. We put all these, we iterate through the whole list, but because we came up to one with a lesser value, we get rid of it because we only have, we really only want the k that's equal to 3, but we only want the length that's equal to 3. So we want to get rid of the one at the top. If it was 4, if it was k was 4, then we would take in 4. But because it's only 3, we had to get rid of the last one with the least amount of references.
Yeah.
And then you said so they had the max and the min heat. So I would use a min heat to get rid of the minimum, right? The minimum references.
Yeah, but I mean I guess that could work.
Mm.
But the heap won't keep track of the amount of references. The heap unless that's the value you put in the heap.
Well, I was gonna have a counter for my for loop, the count to keep track of
Got it.
to keep track of
Like the counter object, like a counter object.
right.
Okay. Okay, cool. So yeah, if you want to do that, then yeah, that could work.
Okay, but yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like the counter could keep track of the references of how many it is, and then we can go and then let's say if it's less than everything else, we get rid of it or we can pop it.
Okay. So yeah, if you want to code it up, you can start it.
Okay, cool. Let's get started. Uh, so let me go ahead and start. I want to. What are we gonna call it? It's a top K. Oh, I'd like to do like snake case. Not snake, but camel case. Oh, that's cool. It actually does it for me. So this is completely named through Replit. It's okay. So Replit says top K frequent, and then okay. So now what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get my heat, not help heat. So that's the name of it, and then I think you just use the list, well not the list but the brackets. All right. So then, what I want to do, I want to. I know I'm just gonna write this out in my. I know my one of the base cases that we had was that if we just want to return the empty, if it comes up to be empty, we'll just return that whatever we have in there. Let's see. Yeah, index 0. All right, so that's if it's empty, you just return the first element.
Well, in this case, you're returning entire array, so it wouldn't
Oh
be
yeah,
index
well I
zero.
mean I'm sorry, the array, right? Because that's what we want to return is an array, or the
Yeah, so
result rather.
you wouldn't need to index a value. You just return heap.
Yeah, for some reason it's giving me an error. That's why another reason I put something in
You
there.
wouldn't. You don't
Okay.
need you don't need the bracket.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just returning this whole thing right here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Then I know that I want my for loop, and then um, I want the length of nums, and then what do I want? So from so actually, you know what? We're starting from k, and then going to the end of the list.
Wait, why are you starting from K?
So k is our let me say it is our count to make sure that we have for the return for the result list, right? So for our result list, we want to have the um, maximum amount of elements to be k. Mm,
Yeah,
let me see.
we do.
And then I want to go through the whole. I still want to go through the whole length of the amount of numbers. So I still want to iterate through the whole nums list that we're getting. So if we start at, hey, I want to get to, let's say we have 3, and then
Hmm.
we have more elements in there. We're still gonna go through them, but then we'll just pop off any ones that um, go past k. If that makes sense. Or let's say if we have more elements that show up that get popped onto or not, get pushed onto the heap, then we want to be able to pop them off if they get too further past the constraint that we had, which is the k.
So in this case, um, let me try to. I I think it could work.
Mm-hmm.
I think it could work. I was just trying to point out. So
Mm-hmm.
in this case, for the example, we had K is equal to 3, right?
Right.
So K is 3, and then the length is this, right? And we're iterating from position 3 to the end, essentially, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means we wouldn't start the index 3 would be this is 0. Well, oh, you can't see that. 0, 1, 2. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So if essentially if we started off at 3, I was just pointing out that you started here and then you miss like a few numbers if you start to iterate here.
Then how
I'm not
about
sure you accounted for that,
let's start
but I'm
from
just
yeah. Let's start from how about this? Let's see. Okay, let me try this. Let me go through. Let's say okay, let's go through the whole list right here,
yeah,
and then so
yeah,
we're iterating through the whole list,
yeah.
and then let's say this. So we have an if statement. If the number from index, so we're going through the whole. This is our count here. So we're going through all the elements
Mhm.
within our list, and then let's say that it is if it's greater than. So if the amount of numbers within our list is greater than the heap at index, trying to figure out how to say it. So we're iterating through our entire list of numbers. If the index within that number list is greater than, um, let's say, the first element, then we'll push it on. Right? Does that make sense?
So if the index of, so if we start at I, right?
Right.
So we're iterating through this. We start at I for each I in range length of nums,
Mhm.
and the first element would be one
Right.
for right here. So you would say if one is greater than heap at what value
Let's say,
or what index? Or,
I guess, so let's say we start at index 0, right?
yeah.
So I want to make sure that we're going through, we just keep adding on more of the, so I want to make sure, okay, so starting from 0, then let's say index 1. Okay, well, this is the next one. Now we can add index 1 onto the heap. And then index 2, we can add that to the heap. And so on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so you're gonna add. So if you're gonna add it to the heap,
Mhm.
okay, you plan on adding it to the heap. Okay.
Right. And then we can push it off. We can push it onto the heap, and then we can pop it off. Like if it gets to that K. Like when we hit our criteria, okay, we have enough people, you have enough numbers in our heap that hit to our K. We don't need any more, and then there's no more that hit the criteria. We can just pop those off. Does that make sense?
I kind of.
Okay. Let's try. Let's try. Then we can.
Yeah,
I think we can test it after this.
yeah, we could test it.
Okay. So then I want to. I think it's a push, and then you can. What is it? Push, and then we're gonna add. All right. So now it's giving me an error. Let me try. Let me do a pin since that's the
Hmm.
list. Okay. That did not give me an error. All right. So we have. So we're adding it onto the. So we're adding in nums I. All right. So we're iterating through our length of the nums. If nums I is greater than the first num, then we add it onto it, and
Hmm.
then now we just got to account for when we want to pop something. So let's see. Let's see. So then let's say. Let me write this. Let me see what we have so far. So far, what we've just done is now we have everything onto our heap. And now if I think do another if statement? If heap okay. I had a thought to come to my mind. I was gonna say if it gets to the point where heap is k length, then we will pop the next one if it comes up. But I don't know if that would work per se. Let me see. Let me try and do. Let me write that out. Mm, let's see. So if heap is greater than k, can I do? I wonder, does it work for get the length of the heap? If the length of the heap is greater than k, because
If the length of heap Yeah, that makes sense. If the length of the heap is greater than k,
then we can. I know I want to do what is it? Heat dot pop. All right, now we just got to figure out. Is it pop? Uh, so the if it goes if I want to do well, what if it's so if I pop the last element that would sustain example 3. I'll just be popping the last element, but I don't want to. It might not be that case where if I pop, like let's say if 1 comes up and it's not the or there. Let's say this right. Let's say if there's another example of 5 5, right? Then me popping the last element wouldn't work. I would need to pop 4 off. So I got to figure out which one do I want to pop. So I'm iterating through this, and let me while we have. All right, says this. Oh, Rahmel, how much time do we have left? I just want to make sure.
I'd say we got like 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Let's do
and then we'll
this.
go over we'll like I'll kind of like go over some other stuff.
Okay. Well, let's just kind of
Not
go
another
through the.
problem, not a different problem though. Just like stuff with this problem.
Okay. So real quick, I just want to make sure I can, even if the code isn't there, I want to make sure I at least kind of like solve the next part, the next criteria of which one do we pop. So if I want to pop the uh, the one with the least amount of references, I remember you said that if you have a min heap, then it would get rid of the minimum value, right?
Um,
Because of
yeah,
the min heap.
yeah. Yes, I
Okay.
mean,
So wouldn't that pop off the minimum value then? So if that's the case, then it would pop off 4.
um, well, I mean, in this case, it's not. I don't think it's removing based on. I'm actually not sure.
Okay.
For pop, I'm not sure. I gotta look that one up.
Okay. Because that's what I was saying. I think it just depends on how it's being put into the heat. Because if that's the case, if I can just do heat pop and then let's say the element that is on the pop, let's say the first element in the heat, which would be index 0, I can pop that off of the minimum heat, and then now I have the minimum value taken off. If that's
But
how if that's how it works.
does pop not just okay? So yeah, pop removes the last element.
Right.
But if you unless you specify, yeah, if you specify, then it'll remove the specific element.
So so that means I don't need the 0. I can just do well. If it doesn't matter, if I don't need to specify, then I can just remove the last element then.
Yeah.
And then the last
Or
element,
pop removes the last element, yeah.
yeah, because if I specify, then it may uh not be right. But if I do heap.pop and without specifying it, then I may be able to pop off that last element that shows up in the heap. And then if it's a
Mhm.
minimum heap, that means I can get rid of the minimum value. I pop off the minimum value for the heap.
Yeah, but I think as far as like heaps and stuff, I think you might have to like make that data structure like
Oh, create.
specific. I think so. I'm not sure if Python has its own heap. It might. I'm not sure. It might.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know you think we're over the time, but I just
Yeah.
I didn't want to take too much of your time. I just wanted to
No,
kind of go through this.
we could go over it. We could go over it.
Okay.
Yeah. So I guess just to kind of start off, right? I wasn't necessarily, trying to like get to the solution or whatever. I don't think this is an easy problem. I think this problem is kind of confusing. Um, but generally, I think what you did well was kind of starting from here, starting from the examples. I think that's always good. Um, because and the reason for that is because when you're doing these interviews, you're going to be talking to different engineers. Sometimes people might be from different countries and be from different places, have different main, their first language might not be English and stuff.
Mhm.
So that whole, I think there is a generally like a communication barrier, um, and writing stuff out just to make sure that we all understand, everybody's on the same page. I always applaud that, and I think that was like definitely a strong suit of the interview, right? Uh, but I think we could have. There's a few things we could have did to improve it.
Okay.
So generally, what I recommend is from the beginning of the problem, ask. I think you did ask some questions as far as edge cases, like you asked about like what happens when it's empty. But I think from the beginning, you should kind of ask more questions,
Mhm.
just to gain clarity on all of the edge cases, and so you kind of clearly understand how to solve it. But
Okay.
you asked a good bit of those questions. You did ask, um, like you asked if this was sort. You asked if this needs to be in a in a specific order. You asked about minimum. I'm sorry. You asked if this was empty. I think you asked most of the edge cases.
Mhm.
Um, what's the only other edge case I can think of? I guess the only other edge case I can think of is if this is like two, but there's only like one type number or something
Mm.
like that. Um, yeah, but I mean, I think there's always going to be edge cases we miss, but it could be good to just kind of like ask all the questions to the interviewer in the beginning, and and like even write them down, like even write like edge cases or something like that, or like
Mhm.
sometimes people call them assumptions or something, whatever it is, edge cases and assumptions, and you can literally just write out um, the assumptions you have. If empty, return empty array, stuff like that,
Okay.
and it helps you and the interviewer just make sure everybody's on the same page because we can kind of see it in writing.
Right.
Um, yeah, and then I think it also yeah, it just helps everybody kind of understand. Yeah, again, this example that you wrote out was good. Definitely continue like writing out examples, asking questions, and like I think I messaged you and I said like diagram, and this is literally what I meant.
Mhm.
I literally meant this. I literally meant all of this kind of stuff. That's good. Everybody's on the same page. Like if we're looking at an array, we literally just created a way to like index, and like we just communicated to each other.
Right.
So that's good. Um, Now, another thing I recommend, the next thing I kind of recommend is like once you can spend a minute just processing the question and trying to understand the question on a deep level. That's a good thing, and the reason because of it is, as an engineer, like part of our job is to ask questions, get clarifications, understand the requirements, and we shouldn't start working on anything until we have complete clarity and clear understanding on the requirements, essentially.
Mhm.
So that's the benefit of that, right? It is supposed to, I guess it is supposed to, from an interviewer standpoint, they're kind of like judging is this person quick to code? Are they quick to act? Or do they take time to process and try to understand what they need to do?
Okay.
I think it's like one of those simple, subtle things, but like they do kind of look at it. Um, and I guess it kind of separates, like they'll judge someone on that, like, oh, is this a senior level person? Or is this you know what I mean? Is this a more like recent grad or something based on maybe how quickly they jump into the problem or something like that. Yeah. The next thing that I would recommend coming up with multiple solutions if possible. Sometimes you don't have multiple solutions, but I would recommend coming up with like multiple solutions. And I think you did come up with some solutions. Um, I don't know, but after you come up with a solution, I would kind of recommend you, I guess, explain it a little bit better to an extent. Um, or at least I think I asked you. I think maybe that's not the thing. Maybe the thing is I think I asked you a few times, right? Like how would how would you like keep track? How would you keep track? Maybe that was on me. Maybe I should have specified that if we use a heap, we have to build this heap structure or use this or whatever. We have to have some heap structure in Python. Maybe I should have specified and clarified. So that one might be on me. Um, That one might be on me. But definitely, I wanted to see like uh, I guess just solving the problem in a non-coding fashion, if that makes sense. Which
Okay.
we I think we did an okay job, but I guess there was I just had a question as far as like the tracking of it. I think you specified how you would do it, um, but we didn't really put it in. Uh, we didn't, like you said it like the counter, but you didn't really like. I don't know. I guess we kind of blew past it, if that makes sense. So maybe just more detail in terms of like explaining the solution, so that the interviewer kind of knows what you're trying to do, and they can give you feedback.
Okay.
Yeah. And the reason I say multiple solutions is because there's with these interviews, there's literally generally there's actually like there can be multiple solutions based on what the interviewer wants, based on the requirements. So like generally they say like there's the space complexity,
Okay.
there's like the most effective space complexity, and then there's like time complexity. Yeah. So sometimes there's different problems. Like sometimes they want like an effective space complexity or an effective time complexity or both. Um, but then there's just like solutions that work. There's inefficient solutions that work pretty much. So I generally start here.
Right.
When I'm solving a problem, I start here. I start from the inefficient solution that works. Um, and the reason for that is because just I kind of do it just to show like, okay, I know how to solve it, but it's just not the best way to do it. And then you kind of move into the more effective, more efficient solutions.
Okay.
And then at the end, my advice with the coding part is for me actually is the most difficult part. It has been, it always is for me.
Mm-hmm.
The reason is because I think sometimes we get lost in our code. When we start coding, it can be like we can kind of forget like what we said from the beginning or what we were supposed to do, right? I generally like before I kind of get to the code, I like to have everything like planned out and like specified generally. Some people are good. Some people write code like English.
Mm-hmm.
Me, I prefer to plan it out. But yeah. So then I think the last part that's probably the most important part is like actually like testing or like tracing through code. So let's say you got through this, you wrote it, right? And you're like, yeah, I think this works. But the best way to figure out if it works or not is to like trace through it. So you come up with this, you look at the example, and you just put it through and you're like, okay, one. But you're like, we have this array and we have this, and you see like if it returns the right value or not, and then you try to see where it went wrong. You don't really, generally you don't have to run any code, but yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that I guess is this is probably one of the most important parts
Mm-hmm.
here, but I think the most important thing is the overall communication. Um, the communication is because the interviewer, like the better you communicate, or the better you kind of like write it out, the interviewer can help. I might have dropped the ball in terms of leading in the right direction. Um, that might have been my fault, but I think this is the main thing. Like I said, I did it like that. I guess I wasn't necessarily trying to get to like the exact answer. I was more trying to see the process. And I think as an engineer, the process that you go through, the thought process of okay, um, what are I'm trying to solve this problem. First, let's clarify all of the assumptions. Let's understand this. Let's be on the same page about the assumptions about what I need to solve with the problem. Okay, now here's some quick solutions. Here's like a quick solution that I think I could maybe do. And then you kind of start talking about why you don't want to do that. And you get to like a better solution. And then after you do that, you know, you implement it and then you test it. And then you figure out like why. I think this is like really important right here though. Because when usually testing it, there might be an error or something like that. And then the interviewer might help you out here too.
Right.
Um, yeah, but I can send you a solution to this problem. I think again, this was a harder problem in terms of the most efficient solution. But I think the solution to the problem is like pretty much iterating through, which you had, and then like actually tracking like the frequency of the values.
Mm-hmm.
So like saying like, for ones I have two ones and two twos and three whatevers. And
Mm-hmm.
then pretty much like once you're actually tracking it, like iterating through that to kind of to create this.
Okay. So like having let's say frequency counter, and then you just increment up whenever that shows up, and then you iterate through that one.
Yeah, but the frequency counter in this case is really a map. It's really a hash map
Hash map. Okay.
because
Yeah. So
it's
key value pair type of thing. Okay.
exactly, yeah.
So dictionary. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, dictionary. Yep, dictionary.
That makes so much more sense. Yeah, to do it like that, and then you'll have like the value within that key. So each number will be a key, and then you have the value. It will just continue to increment.
Yeah. Again, I probably could have should have said use a map. I probably should have said that. Um, yeah, that's my fault. I think it would. I think it would have made it a little smoother. It would have just been. Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, but again, I knew this problem was kind of hard.
I will definitely. I think a lot of the problems they say to use a hash map a lot of the time.
Yeah,
I might just almost default go for like if I need a key value pair or something like that or to count, I might go towards a hash map.
yeah.
That
I
would
think
make
that's why it's kind of hard. Say it again.
I was gonna say that might have made the problem a lot more easier as far as the
Yeah,
counting. Yeah.
yeah. I'll send you a solution.
Okay.
But I don't know. This solution, I don't know if this is the best. This solution has the best explanation. Like I might have to find a better solution than this, man.
Neat code. Yeah, I started watching their videos to prepare.
Yeah. This I think is. Yeah, I think this is one of the best. Honestly, he has really really good solutions.
Mhm.
I see it. Yeah. Yeah. I don't. Were there any like questions you have? Anything you wanted to? Look at that.
Yeah. So overall, essay I do like the fact that you can sit there and think about your solution, but is it okay? Like, let's say if you get to the point where you're like 25 minutes in to the interview, and then after you're 25 minutes in, you say, well, it's only 30 minutes, and you finally get to the point where you understand the problem, then you start coding, but then you don't have enough time to actually finish it. Is that okay?
Mm, I want to say with Facebook,
Mm.
I want to say maybe it depends on the company. Facebook, maybe not.
Okay.
Um, I think a lot of it. I mean, I think a lot of it kind of comes with like practice. Like I recommend, I would just tell you do blind 75, and I would tell you to do. Um, I think Facebook even has their own like practice website, right?
They said to go to Elite Code and Hacker Rank.
Oh, they don't have a have
They
coding problems.
Yeah, they may have some.
Yeah, I mean, I would say go to the blind. My,
Okay.
is this it? Maybe they don't have it anymore. Well, when I was in the interview process with Facebook, they did have something. This was years ago,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe they don't have it anymore. Oh, that's weird. They used to have it. But anyway, I recommend you kind of. I don't want to say do all the blind 75, but I recommend doing at least the. I mean, they did ask me a lot of questions.
You,
They asked me.
how many questions? How many questions would you? They did say they may have several coding questions in the
Per
interview.
interview?
Right.
In the interview? Yeah, yeah, they might, or they might give you an easy problem and then ask it in another way, and then they might make it more challenging.
Okay.
I sent you some areas I think questions you should try to focus on.
Okay.
I don't recommend doing leak code. I recommend you staying here and focusing on blind 75. This pretty much covers everything for the most part.
Okay. Going through
Um,
Neat Code and Blind 75.
yeah, well, these questions are from leak code, but these are like the best questions to prepare for interviews.
Okay.
you can't really. I don't recommend people trying to do all the there's thousands of questions.
All right.
We don't have enough. Nobody has enough time to go through every question.
Yeah.
But the idea is you understand enough. You understand like the core questions so well that from there you should be able to solve like everything. And even within the 75 questions, there's certain questions that are more important than others, even within the 75.
Definitely. Okay,
So
I can definitely add that in.
yeah. So like I think I took screenshots of the ones I think you should start with. Those are the most important ones for Facebook from my experience. And yeah, I think those are the I think those are gonna be the main ones.
Okay. I appreciate you. And also, I wanted to ask you: is there anything? Because I'm still recording, so I didn't know if you wanted to say anything to plug yourself or anything like that. And I can send you a link to it as well to the
Okay,
video.
yeah. I mean, just for people who are going through the interview process, I think the most important thing is like it's a process. It takes time to building interview skills, especially at the some of the hardest interviewing companies when it comes to programming and software engineering. They're gonna make them hard. But I think you have to be able to just like love yourself, forgive yourself, and just know like, hey, it's a process. It takes time to build skills, and a lot of this stuff is new to us, but it may not be new to some of the people who are here. Um, and again, that's why the companies look how they look, right? There's certain groups that they're able to infiltrate because they give each other the scoop on how to get in, and other people are kind of just finding out like how to get in and what it takes to get in, pretty much. So I don't take it. I don't think anybody should like take it personal. I say just start and interview everywhere. Like don't reject if Facebook's interviewing and Lowe's is interviewing or State Farm is interviewing. Take all the interviews. Don't be like, oh, I'm not gonna work at State Farm. I'm not gonna work at Lowe's or Target. I'm talking about for software engineering roles specific, not like any other roles. But just be open to interviewing anywhere and trying to get any experience you can as you like build your skill set. And eventually, you will, no matter what, you'll be at the top of your game eventually. But process, yeah, that's about it. You guys, can add me on LinkedIn at Ramel. I'm Ramel Bailey. You got me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, man. All right, guys. With that being said, let me know what you guys think about the video down below in the comments below. Please go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And also hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please go ahead and hit the link in the description down below. That way you can check out the Before the Billions website and also join the Discord so that way you can speak with either me or anybody else within the BTB squad. I would really appreciate it. I will see you all in the next video, and do not forget to build your billions.